Gospel of John. Glad you're watching. We're finishing John 19 with a look at verses 38 through 42. Later, Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Now Joseph was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly because he feared the Jews. With Pilate's permission, he came and took the body away. He was accompanied by Nicodemus, the man who earlier had visited Jesus at night. Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 75 pounds. Taking Jesus' body, the two of them wrapped it with the spices in strips of linen. This was in accordance with Jewish burial customs. At the place where Jesus was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb, in which no one had ever been laid. Because it was the Jewish day of preparation, and since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. Okay, so Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea both came secretly to take the body of Jesus away, as the scripture says, for fear of the Jews. See, both of them were members of the Jewish Sanhedrin, of the ruling council of the Sanhedrin. And a modern equivalent of that would be like someone who was a senator, a Supreme Court justice, and a cardinal in the church. It's quite powerful positions, very prominent. And they knew that if they were found out by the other members of the Sanhedrin who just had Jesus crucified, if they were found out as being followers of his who wanted to give him a proper burial, they would have been in trouble as well. So we can understand why they came secretly, although hopefully at some point they were more open about their faith in Messiah. But what we see here also is a further fulfillment of prophecy, and I just want to focus on that for a minute. Again, the Old Testament is just filled with details of every bit of the life of Jesus, including his crucifixion and his burial. In Isaiah 53, one of the greatest prophecy chapters in the Old Testament, we see it says this: "He was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was stricken," speaking of Jesus, Messiah. "He was assigned a grave with the wicked." Remember, he was crucified in between two criminals. "And with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth." The other gospel writers tell us, that John doesn't tell us, the other gospel writers tell us that the tomb they laid him in belonged to Joseph of Arimathea, the rich man. And so Jesus was crucified with the wicked, but he was in the rich man's tomb, with the rich in his death. God is amazing. The book is amazing. He hasn't left us without evidence.